This Week in Startups is brought to you by Squarespace. Start building your website today at squarespace.com. Enter offer code TWIST at checkout to get 10% off. And Walker Corporate Law, a boutique law firm specializing in the representation of entrepreneurs. Visit them at walkercorporatelaw.com. And Mighty Networks. Go to mightynetworks.com/twist and click on Create a Network to start your Mighty Networks business plan with a free 14-day trial.
Hey everybody, welcome to This Week in Startups. It's our news roundtable, and it was a busy week in Silicon Valley. With me today, the one, the only, Robert Scoble and Iain Thomson from the Register UK. Welcome to the program, boys. It's good to see you.
Always fun.
All right,
Why are you putting us on on our 4th of July weekend here?
No, it's a big episode. Trust me, right before the holidays, people do a lot of hiking. They go to the gym. I love publishing content into holiday weekends because I'm sure that you two are like me. Yeah. You just download 20 podcasts, and when you have those days off, you probably consume twice as much media than when you have a business week.
Yeah, although it's a slightly unusual one because you're celebrating Brexit 1776, so now we're kind of like, it's...
I promise we would not...
Brexit.
Yeah. I promise we would not get into... I had one of the viewers like, Leo was talking about politics for the whole Twit last week. And I was like, we only talked about it when I hosted Twit 2 weeks ago, I think, for the last third. So, but it is permeating everything we do. But today we've got a lot of topics to talk about, and my two guests are two of the most candid and insightful commentators on tech, so very good job getting them here. We're going to start off with the latest on AR and VR. Of course, Robert, you have been claiming from the top of the mountain that Apple is going to be making VR glasses. All of the data seems to have lined up. You've made your case before that they've bought a couple of different companies that would be the components, and Tim Cook himself said he thinks AR is more interesting than VR. He said that about a year ago. Yeah. And we keep pulling the string, and lo and behold, at WWDC, they released something called AR Kit. Yeah. So it seems like you are going to be vindicated. I have two questions for you. What is AR Kit? Why is it important? And what does it tell us about when Apple glasses will arrive?
It doesn't tell us anything about glasses yet.
It doesn't?
But what is just getting uncorked is a multi-year Apple strategy to get us to move from computing like this with our phone in our hand to maybe holding it like this and doing some Pokemon hunting or looking at the world and seeing stuff on the world to maybe putting it in a headset. And that's the big question. Is there a Samsung Gear VR style headset for the next phone so you could put your phone in a headset and play some VR, some AR friends, or play a new kind of game on this table or whatnot. But what AR Kit is the platform that lets developers build these AR apps for existing iPhones. So you don't even need the new iPhone to play AR Kit. You do need iOS 11, which is coming.
Right. And you can download the developer kit now.
Yes. Developers have access to iOS 11 right now.
Anybody can theoretically download it, right? It's a little bit of work.
Yes. There's a beta version that anybody can download, and if you want the developer version, which is updated more frequently, you pay your $100 and say you're a developer to Apple.
You don't do that on your phone, right? It just screws it up too much?
No, I don't beta test anymore.
You know what I need? I need to hold on a second.
Lost too much hardware.
A lot of the developers who are showing me ARKit apps are doing it on an iPad for just that reason. So they bought an iPad with the latest iPad.
And they put the iOS 11 on.
And it looks really beautiful on an iPad when you're showing it to the press or showing it to investors, stuff like that. Right.
And, okay, so Robert Scoble, what can we expect to see from Apple's VR kit?
AR Kit,
I'm sorry, augmented reality, not virtual reality. Augmented reality going into the fourth quarter of 2017 and, of course, into 2018. Well, what experiences?
AR Kit comes with iOS 11, so it's a free thing that comes on your phone when you get iOS 11 in September, October. It lets you do all sorts of stuff where it puts virtual things on top of the real world. So somebody put a SpaceX rocket, a virtual rocket landing in their pool. Another guy did a whole setup where he could play a new kind of Frisbee with his friends. Another one of these videos, and I have a whole page on Facebook.
These seem like proof of concepts. Is there anything valuable?
Not yet, because it's only 2 weeks old.
It's only 2 weeks old.
You know how long it takes to build a really well thought out,
Ian,
video game style app.
When you look at Robert's enthusiasm for AR.
Yeah, and let's go why I'm enthusiastic.
Okay, well, let me get Iain involved. Yeah. When you see that enthusiasm, do you think the enthusiasm will be realized for consumers in 2018 or 2019 or 2020? Pick a year and then tell us your theory on why.
Okay, I would say for the base level AR spec, AR experience, you're looking 2018, probably 2019, in fact, for developers to get their backsides into gear and get this stuff really working, iron out the kinks. In terms of the wider thing, I'm curious about this, because is this going to be another Apple closed garden? Because if so, they've just balls up the whole thing.
Of course it is.
Yeah, exactly.
It's Apple Pay.
So whatever you
why would you go with a closed system rather than an open one?
Let's go through VR, right, and look at the whole industry. How many headsets has the VR industry sold? HTC Vive has sold 1 million, maybe. Oculus Rift has sold less than 1 million. Sony PlayStation has sold around 3 million. Samsung Gear VR has sold around 5 million. Google Cardboard has given away 10 million. Apple in September, when iOS 11 is coming out, is going to deliver around 200 million people who can play ARKit apps.
Right.
This is going to decimate the rest of the VR and AR
10
industry.
times, 20, realistically 20 times the market. Because I don't count any of those cardboard headsets.
Right.
Zero, I give them credit for.
And they're coming out with a phone that has 2 3D sensors. No other phone has 2 3D sensors. Google Tango has one front-facing 3D sensor.
What does the sensor do?
It can see the entire room, so as you're holding the phone, it knows exactly where in space it is. That's how it places
the digital asset.
And it can make a 3D map of this entire room instantly.
So it knows this is a desk. It's a flat surface. If we want to put a bunch of Lord of the Ring characters on the desk, it knows it's a desk because of those 3D sensors.
And it knows every distance in this room. So it knows how wide that wall is. So I can do a tape measure. And that was one of the first apps on ARKit. Somebody did a little tape measure and you can measure the distances.
Okay, now it gets interesting, Iain. That's actually useful. I think that we're at the calculator solitaire level here. Yep. If I was a developer, I would literally be making the tape measure and these kind of things, because think about the impact ARKit could have for a company that is selling movie posters or couches. I have an investment in Benchmade Modern. When you order a couch, they make couches by the inch. They send you a printout that you lay on the floor, so you get an idea of. And then when it shows you your 100 wide inch couch, it shows you what the 101, 102, 103, 104, 105, et cetera, would fill. So you can say, oh, maybe I can add a couple of inches here. Yeah. But with ARKit, you'll be able to throw the couch right there into your room and see what it will look like and say, oh, let me just pinch or zoom it and see how many inches I can actually fit here.
There's an app already called Pair, and Pair is working with Apple on ARKit. So you're going to see lots of apps like that from all sorts of retailers that are going to let you do things in your house and see products laid right on top of your counter or on top of in your living room or in your bedroom. Right?
We've had AR functionality built into Windows 10 since before launch.
Yeah, but Windows 10 isn't something you carry around. This is something you carry around. True. Nobody has a Windows 10 in their pocket. I'm sorry, Microsoft is not a player right now in this world. Microsoft HoloLens has shown a lot of things that are going to come, but only has sold a few thousand HoloLenses. It's too big, it's too dorky, it's too expensive. This is when AR comes to mass numbers of people and is going to cause the development of a whole range of startups. You watch, in the next 6 months, there's going to be a lot of things for Jason to invest in.
Listen, this is why I have Robert on the program. Robert has no idea, but he's my free strategy consultant. I got to take a memo. Emmy award-winning producer Jackie, please take a memo. Ask Ashley, my chief of staff, to set up the October incubator class as the AR dedicated class.
Yeah.
We're going to have a dedicated class. We're going to invest in 7 startups for AR. You heard it here first for October. Robert Scoble gets 0 equity in that.
I have my own fund. I'm gonna
J-Cal wins again. J-Cal wins again. No, Robert, here's the deal.
You're all right, man.
Here's the deal, Robert. I'm going to give you 10% of my carry. All right. And all you got to do is come. You got to run the incubator. You got to come 10 of the 12 weeks.
10 of the 12 weeks.
That's it. And now, listen, you might make $1 million here. You could have some equity in a Yum Yum. All right, Iain, let's talk about Yum Yum for Robert Scoble. I'll bring him along for the ride. What do you think the chances are that we see by the end of 2018 an Apple glasses type product for AR, a HoloLens type product on a percentage basis?
Wait. You just added an important word there, HoloLens style product.
Okay, let's say HoloLens mixed
You're
reality.
not going to see a mixed reality glass from what I'm hearing.
Let's put mixed reality. Just an AR style glasses. In other words, you can put an object in the world. Maybe your phone's in your pocket. Maybe your AirPods are in. You got your watch.
The hardware the size of a normal pair of glasses, or slightly bulkier.
Somewhere between Google Glass and Snapchat Spectacles. Let's call it the 1.0 version, the light version.
Yeah.
What are the percentage chances we see it in 2018? And then give me your percentage for 2019.
Oculus think that they're at least 5 years away from this.
Oculus thinks Apple is, or they are?
No. Oculus thinks the industry is at least 5 years away from getting.
When you talk to Mark Zuckerberg, you got to be careful how they're defining terms.
Yeah.
Are they talking about a kid in Mumbai who's living on a dirt floor shack and is going to have the glasses? That is 5, 10, 15 years from now. I'm talking about Apple users. Are Apple users going to have it? No, the glasses I'm hearing from Apple that are coming are about $600. They're going to be 3 ounces. They're only going to have a 480 pixel screen in front of you. It's going to be Google Glass done properly. No camera, no 3D sensor. So it does not do anything mixed reality. Doesn't do anything like HoloLens.
Something like that out fairly quickly, but I mean
that's coming in September from what I'm hearing, and I'm hearing it's a 70% chance that we're going to see that in September.
The glasses in September.
Yeah.
Wow.
That we're going to see them. I don't know when we're going to be able to buy them.
Right.
I don't know.
They will show it early.
Yes.
Yeah.
This will be a show early.
Remember, the iPhone came out in January, and it wasn't until yesterday, June 29th, when we actually had it in our hands. So
What's
it was
that,
6 months.
The original iPhone.
The original
the original iPhone. They showed in January. We got it in July.
Lead time.
In June.
How does Apple make that decision to show 6 months early or to show when you can buy? Is there a theory on that?
Yeah, talking to Andy Grignon yesterday, who was one of the 12 guys who built the iPhone, he said the reason they showed the iPhone 6 months before was so that they could put it into FCC approval and put it into carrier approval.
Because it would have leaked.
Right. And Steve Jobs wanted to control the messaging on the launch and make sure that he was the first one to show it to you, and Tim is in the same role now, right?
Speaking of the iPhone.
We haven't seen leaks of the glasses.
No,
we've seen
very
leaks
interesting.
because they have not put them into the manufacturing lines yet.
Yeah, that's when it leaks. Every time they send it to Shenzhen or wherever they send it in China, it leaks. And
one just falls off the conveyor belt and turns up somewhere.
Well, it's interesting. Yeah. What do you think it would be worth? How much do you think a person getting those glasses out of the factory would be able to sell them to a journalist for?
Around $10,000.
$10,000. Which, by the way, is nothing considering the $1 billion.
I hear from the Chinese factory owners that they get paid by the legitimate news. It's so competitive. If you have one picture, you're going to get millions of views, right?
True.
So it's worth way more.
And Gizmodo was known for buying the lost iPhone for, I think it was $5,000.
Something like that.
It was it might have been $5,000 that Nick Denton approved to pay. Which, by the way, if an American outlet buys something they know is stolen, I believe they're under. It could be corporate espionage, and it could be stealing of IP. I do not recommend they do this.
No,
there are intermediaries who do this, I think, and it's a dark market.
Yeah.
But I don't think anybody who is a credible publication would ever do anything like this. Do you think it's just it's the edge bloggers? Who
I don't have the money to pay $10,000 for pictures.
No, it is crazy. All right, when we get back from this break, my God, it's just the busiest week ever. We're going to have a quick break, and then we're going to show the leaked 10th anniversary iPhone and talk about the 10th anniversary iPhone, which is obviously coming. And we're going to talk about Amazon buying Whole Foods and what the potential there is, as well as the Blue Apron IPO and the impact on Instacart. We're going to also talk about the Justin Caldbeck, I think is how his name is pronounced, Callback, sexual harassment, binary capital implosion story, as well as the insane ICO madness that's going on, and, of course, the Uber news, which I have yet to discuss publicly. We're going to talk about that as well. Hey, everybody, let me take a moment to tell you about the awesome Squarespace. I use Squarespace all the time. I think I've created a half dozen websites this year alone. Launch Angel Summit, Founder.University, Angel.University. Every one of our websites we put onto Squarespace here at launch, and we love it. It costs us $10-20 a month to have an amazing, gorgeous website, and they will even give you a free domain name if you start up for a year. So start your free trial today. No credit card is required. You get a free domain name if you sign up for a year. And if you decide to sign up for Squarespace after the trial, use the promo code TWIST and you will get 10% off your first purchase. You will have a professionally designed website. You can pick from all these amazing, beautiful templates, and it works everywhere, on mobile, on your desktop, on a wide monitor, on a small monitor, on an iPad, on an iPhone, Android. It doesn't matter what you're using. It will look beautiful. State-of-the-art tech, secure and stable. It can withstand massive amounts of traffic when you go viral, and it's trusted by millions, including some of the most respected brands in the world. I am a huge fan of Squarespace. Thank you to Squarespace, and make sure you use that promo code TWIST. And if you want to come to Founder.University, please apply. We're doing a female founder university, I think on July 7th. Is that right, Jackie? July 7th? 10th and 11th, I'm sorry. 10th and 11th, we're doing the first female founder university. We've had over 200 people apply. We were going to have 25 people in the room. We're going to try to set the room up for 35 or 50 this time. And then any of the other women who applied that we can fit, we're going to put into a virtual stream and let them ask questions. It's absolutely free. And we were able to set this website up in just, in minutes, let's say. And we were able to make it look gorgeous in like an hour. And I don't need to have technical people anymore doing it. So we do it with our in-house creative and our content staff, not by hiring expensive developers, thanks to my friends at Squarespace. Okay, when we took a pause for the cause, we brought up the 10-year anniversary of the iPhone. God, it seems like yesterday.
Yeah.
When Steve Jobs showed that first one. Let's cue up, of course, let's cue up the video of either Steve Jobs' first introduction or the 10-year anniversary model, whichever you have there. I mean, what producer Jackie? Let's pull up either one of those. Ian, what are your memories of that first time you saw it?
By
the way, yeah,
the UI was fantastic. I mean, I was covering mobile journalism, and the UI was a genuine game changer. But I initially was quite dismissive of it. I mean, it was a 2.5G phone in a 3G world. It had only the apps that Apple would allow you to have it on. It was 18 months before they allowed third-party developers on there. And I just thought, UI aside, this is just a very expensive phone for what it is. It took really until it was. I think the crossover point came about 2 months later when I was seeing someone in a bar had one, and was just being surrounded by people. And I mean, I had friends who were using this to meet women. I mean, it's how weird is that for a mobile phone?
Yeah, but here at Tinder.
So take us through your recollections.
I was first in line with my son at the Palo Alto store, which is where the old store, and that's where Steve Jobs showed up. Yeah. That was his store. That's why we picked that store. And there was.
And here it is. We're playing the video. Look, he's showing that when you turn it, this was like it has an accelerometer. So when you flip it, the image goes from one side to the other, and it didn't support video, right? The first one had no video. But I was really excited because of the user interface. I knew the camera sect. I knew the broadband
wasn't there, but I was using a lot of Nokia phones. In fact, you and I were
we're using the Nokia N95,
which was at the time the best mobile.
Like we broadcast Elon Musk in the first Tesla, right?
Yeah, when the P1 and I and my Corvette. Yeah. Thankfully, those videos do not exist anymore. Oh, no. I just want to let people know that we were absolutely driving the speed limit.
No, we were not.
No, right, yeah.
Like in the city of Santa Monica.
Woo, Sunset Boulevard. I mean, I had 20-inch tires on my 21-inch tires on the back of my Corvette, and it did 0 to 60 in under 4 seconds, and I got smoked by the P1. It was hilarious because I was at. You remember that? I was at dinner I was out at dinner with you.
Yeah.
And we were having chicken parm.
Yeah.
And I was like, I think Elon, because you lived up the block, we lived next to each other, and I said, I think Elon's got the P1. Let me text him. So I texted him. I said, hey, we're having some chicken over here. Come down. He's like, all right. So he comes down. Robert Scoble was like, who's Elon Musk? I was like, it's just making a car company. I don't think you'd ever met him.
I never had met him.
You had never met him.
Of him.
You knew of him.
Yeah.
And so then we started driving that around. But this was an amazing period of time. Just think about what's happened in the last 10 years to Tesla and to Apple. What a decade it's been.
Yeah.
Could we ever project we would be here?
No. The amount of data, by the way, that I'm seeing coming off of mobile phones is stunning. If you go over to Mapbox, I did a video with Mapbox's founders.
Who's Mapbox?
Mapbox is the API or the system underneath Snap's new feature, mapping feature, which we should talk about someday. Underneath Yelp, underneath Foursquare, underneath all sorts of 800,000.
API that does what?
It's mapping.
Mapping.
So if you want to map, it's like Twilio of maps, right? So
cool.
if you're a developer and you want to put a map into something, you get Mapbox.com's map into your app.
Got it.
They get so much data, petabytes a week of data from people checking in and using maps and walking around with Yelp on and stuff like that.
How does this new Snapchat feature work? Because obviously this would never work without the enabling technology of the iPhone and the Android copy.
So you open Snapchat up and then you zoom out with your two fingers.
Oh, you pinch.
You pinch out.
Oh, and then it shows everybody on a map. That's like a secret feature. I've never used that.
Yeah, it's brand new. It just came out in the last week.
So it's basically like, what was that company called? Periscope? The original Periscope?
Very similar interface, and I think Periscope's run by Mapbox.com too. But you can click on hotspots, and it shows you like this video was just shot 11 minutes ago from South Beach, San Francisco, and here's another one from Telegraph Hill 17 minutes ago. So you can see people's video content that they're sharing publicly on top of a map anywhere in the world and see hotspots and see where your friends are.
It's amazing how well Evan Spiegel comes up with new features, hides them, lets them bubble up. How soon before Zuckerberg copies that and puts it into every single app he has? What would you say? Under 90 days or over 90 days? Pick a number.
The problem for Facebook is that this was a very controversial feature and still is because it shows where you are to your friends.
Right.
And if you are at home, it shows all your friends where you live.
Am I opted into that right now?
You might
Or do you have to opt in? I never opted into this, but is this showing people my location? Or is it showing the...
Check. So zoom out.
I just pinched. Oh, no. It says see the world, see snaps of breaking news, next. You can choose to share your location. So it does make you opt in. Right. See, if Zuckerberg were to release this, or at least Zuckerberg 5 years ago, you'd be opted in automatically in the bottom of the user license.
Facebook has bought companies like this that do similar features, but they've turned them off because they're too controversial for the mass user.
I just did ghost mode.
How many users now are on Facebook? 2 billion people, right?
Yeah.
And the expectations of people on Facebook are different from the expectations of people on Snapchat, mostly because of the age ranges on those. But even with Snap, they got a lot of heat this week for this new feature. A lot of people are really freaked out by this feature. It's like, oh, wait a second, my friends can see where I am. You know, that's really
it's pretty amazing, though. I'm looking at it right now, and obviously in San Francisco, two of the biggest tourist attractions are Fisherman's Wharf and Alcatraz, and you can click and see anybody who posted to our story, which is collective stories from those locations. This is going to be amazing for things like Coachella or Outside Land. Yeah. Because like now, like you can go click the Golden Gate Bridge or the California Academy of Sciences.
You can just say, oh, they're streaming that there. Let's have a look. Okay, fine.
By the way, I have the greatest weather app ever. There is a weather app that it's called Mr. Chili. This app, Mr. Chili, shows you the microclimates of, I'll show it to the screen here. Zoom on in on that since we have robotic cameras. Hopefully we'll be able to do it.
I've seen that though.
And Mr. Chili is this incredible, you got to zoom in on the phone, obviously. But Mr. Chili shows you all of this is why we got the robotic cameras. Hopefully it's able to zoom in. There it goes. Boom.
There we go.
Yeah.
So see how it's 57 now to Richmond. It's 77 degrees in North Beach. It's 51 in the Presidio, 2 miles east. I think it's about 2 miles east from the Presidio to North Beach. We have a 26-degree difference in San Francisco. Based on the neighborhood you live in San Francisco, you're either in Los Angeles or you're in...
So what if they add
Tahoe?
What if they add an AR feature to that where you hold the phone and it shows you where the heat is?
Absolutely, you just follow
You're too cold. Go this way.
No, seriously, when I moved to San Francisco, I was like, somebody's like, Kevin Rose, like, you got to live in Potrero. I'm like, why? He's like, it's warm. I'm like, well, I got a place in Pac Heights. It's 1.5 miles away. He's like, 20-degree difference. I'm like, bullshit. It literally is a 20-degree difference.
I mean, when I first moved out here, I was staying in Pac Heights.
So talking about the data that comes in off of Mapbox, this picture started out...
What is that, the 40510 exchange?
No, I don't know what freeway it was, but it was a picture that they showed me of AI.
So hold that up so the camera can go.
So now think about all the data points that are on top of a freeway they have hundreds of millions of data points over freeways, right?
Right.
And they can use AI to take that mass of data points, which aren't really accurate because your phone isn't all that accurate. If we checked in 1,000 times here, some check-ins would be here, some check-ins would be here, right?
Yeah, within 10 feet or 20 feet, right?
10, 20 feet.
Yeah.
But the AI can figure out how many lanes of traffic there are and how fast the traffic is moving.
By lane?
Just from mobile phones.
Yeah. See,
no mapping cars, no LiDARs, no weird stuff.
Yeah.
So think about the data that the new Tesla is coming is spreading through.
Here's a question I have about the new Tesla. We're rambling a bit here, but it's a good ramble. I'm going to let the ramble continue. And by the way, if you're on the Facebook live stream and there's about 70 of you in there, feel free to ask a question. Wow, 70 people watching live. That's great. Do you think Tesla, when they have a disengaged moment, right? Like let's say somebody painted over the lines and 50 people drive by in their Teslas, let's say San Francisco, probably 50 people drive by in the morning. The lines are not there. It disengages. Yes. This happens to me in one particular spot in San Francisco when I'm taking the 280 exchange. I can either go to the 1 or I can take the 280 over to the 101 right when I get to like the Pacifica type area. When I have that lane that's not properly marked, it always disengages. I know it now. I preempt it. But do you think they have an actual video?
Yes.
And that somebody watches the 20 people's video, or it shows a composite of all 20 videos, and then the person takes out a pen on their iPad and draws the line and says, by the way, here's where the line should be. Do they have an actual video where they're reconciling those moments?
Yes.
They do?
Yes. One guy reported on Reddit that his Tesla has already uploaded 2 gigabytes in 2 months of data.
Wow.
Videos, 3D data, the movement data, all sorts of data from your hands.
They anonymize all that and hash it.
Yeah.
They must, right?
Yeah, yeah.
It's got to be all
Mapbox works the same way, by the way, and they make a big claim. They do not know who checked in that data. They just know that a phone at this space checked in. Right. That's all they know. They don't know the
MAC address. They don't know your cookies.
Yeah.
They don't know your login. None of that.
Yeah.
Of course, Facebook does, because now Facebook has. My understanding is Facebook has put beacons.
Oh, not this again.
This is we talked about it maybe on Twist, or somebody was explaining it, that Facebook has started sending beacons. Maybe Emmy Award-winning producer Jackie can look it up, to local restaurants.
Yep.
The local restaurants then, when you go in there. Let's say we all went to TGI Fridays. Now we leave TGI Fridays.
Yep.
Now for the next month, we start seeing ads for TGI Fridays to come back because we went into the location.
Or better.
What's better? I walk by?
It's showing your friends your behavior. When I got to Paris a couple of weeks ago, Facebook said, hey, welcome to Paris. Click here to see what your friends have done in Paris. My son's been to Paris, so it showed that he went to the Louvre. And it showed another friend.
I was going to say something else there.
It showed another friend went to the Eiffel Tower, and another friend went to d'Orsay, and another friend went to Notre
Jason
Dame.
Galacanis went to the Moulin Rouge.
And it showed some restaurants from my friends.
I went to Moulin Rouge because we saw the movie. I had no idea Moulin Rouge was like a little bit risque.
A little bit, yeah.
It's kind of rated R, isn't it?
I know, but it's when you said your son went there, and please don't let him be traced down to a French cat house or something. You know what I mean?
No, literally, I went to the Moulin Rouge, and there's a moment. This is the life of Jake. I'll go to the Moulin Rouge. Have you been?
No.
So Moulin Rouge is what the movie was based on. I guess it's a review, but it's a little risque. Everybody's kind of in various degrees of undress, but not in a smarmy kind of way. So there's 1,000 people in the audience. I don't know.
Yeah, it's not sleazy. It's just
not sleazy. It's PG there.
It's like the Rockettes.
It's like the Rockettes if they were wearing half the amount of clothes. So anyway, they put the spotlight on this poor Japanese woman who's obviously a tourist who doesn't really speak English, and they pull her on stage.
Oh, no. Yeah.
Like 8 people. So I lean over to my wife and I go, I guarantee they pull me up. It's literally my life is getting pulled into these kind of crazy situations. Not 30 seconds later, spotlight on me. They pull me up on stage. And they're ripping my shirt off. And I mean, thank God there's no video of this, but I mean, this is a serious problem if they're telling people your locations. Like, and you're a high profile person or even a not a high profile person. Like, what if I went, here's another situation which happened with the Facebook groups. What if I'm not completely comfortable with people knowing my sexual preference and I was in a gay bar?
Yeah.
And now maybe your son goes or my daughter goes to Paris, and they're like, oh, by the way, when your daughter came here, she went to this lesbian bar. Your son went to Moulin Rouge. I mean, this is crazy.
Not only that, it's not that explicit. A lot of the data, a lot of the patterns of your life come out in other ways, right? And the guy who runs Google's AI says they do not show you everything that they're learning about you because it freaks you out. It's so good. Google has so much data on your pattern through life.
I think that they should be forced to tell you once a month. This is what I think. Here, this is, I'm going to write a Emmy Award-winning producer, Jackie, remind me in 30 days to write this blog post. For privacy reasons, every service that collects your information, this should be the new regulation, is required to share with you when you log in every month the data they have on you in an understandable format by category, location, IP addresses, here's what we know about you. And then with one click, allow that data to be deleted. This would be the greatest information.
It doesn't matter.
Why not? Because I would log in and I'd see you have all these locations. I'd say delete that data.
Because this data isn't just about you; it's about everybody, and the AI is seeing patterns and knowing.
That's true. But I don't have a problem with the AI pattern. I have the problem with my dossier being released.
Yeah, but what are you going to do? Delete all your Facebook and delete all your Google searches?
If they put that up, Ian, and they said, we have the following information on you. But I mean, 57 locations you've been to. And I just said with one click, purge. It would be amazing, wouldn't it?
We generate all this data for these companies. And you need to have, at the moment, what do you get for it? You get your data used by the company in a way that you don't have control. So people have got to have the ability to control the data that's collected on them. And it's going to become harder and harder unless we take a stand now.
People in the Facebook
How do I see
chat
the
room.
Google data that Google has on me.
People in the Facebook chat room. Question number one.
Yeah.
Would you like to see every month on the first of the month what data Facebook, Twitter, and Google had on you when you logged in? Would you like that feature? Yes, no, maybe. And then question two, and Jackie, you can put these questions in the chat room if you want to retype them and paraphrase them. And question two, if you did see that you had location or other data about interests, would you delete that data? 1, 2, or 3?
By the way, I'm using Google Assistant, which is
what the people
stunning. If you guys don't have Google Assistant on your iPhones, you should download it right now. It is the best voice recognition I've ever used. And I just did that search, and it brought me to privacy.google.com, which has exactly what you're asking for. It shows you every piece of data Google has on you.
Here's the thing. You have to confront people with it and tell them, here's what we know about you on a regular basis. Okay, when we get back from this break, I'll tell you what people in the chat room were saying. Let me just take a quick moment to thank my good friend, Scott Ed Walker of the Walker Corporate Law Group. They are a boutique law firm specializing in the representation of entrepreneurs and startups, and I cannot give them my highest recommendation or a higher recommendation. They have been so great to my founders that they've worked with. The Walker Corporate Law Group encourages fixed fees. That means no waste. They'll give you a price. They'll stick to that price so you can do proper budgeting for your startup. And their lawyers all have 10, 20 years, decades of experience. There are no junior associates at Walker Corporate Law Group learning on your account. No, they are a firm dedicated to entrepreneurs and helping startups succeed. They have great services, obviously the basic stuff like raising money and company formation, but mergers and acquisitions, licensing agreements, and the critical terms of service and privacy policies that if you are cutting and pasting from your competitor, you are opening yourself up to massive exposure. Go ahead and get those terms of service and privacy policies done correctly. If you want to talk to the founder, his name is Scott Ed Walker. His number, 415, that's San Francisco, 979-9998, 979-9998. Or you can email Scott at Walker Corporate Law, or visit walkercorporatelaw.com, Scott@walkercorporatelaw.com. Scott, just from me to you, thanks again for sponsoring and making This Week in Startups possible. You've been perhaps our longest running continuous sponsor from year 1 to year 8 now. Thank you from the bottom of my heart on behalf of the audience for being an early supporter. And we hope we're reciprocating in supporting your great firm. Okay. Now, in the chat room, Jim Murphy says yes and yes, he would want it. Tom says, yes, I like the visibility It exists today, but deleting my data would impact all IoT services that require my history for context and better digital experiences. I'm more interested in how my data is being used, better visibility into the benefits. So he wants part one of my proposal. I'll call this proposal the JCal proposal.
I just looked at my data from Google. It is stunning how much data it has on me.
Oh, I know.
It knows.
What's the highlight?
It knows that.
What's the thing that would be most embarrassing?
It knows that I visited Wells Fargo, my bank, this morning. It knows that I went to Facebook this morning. It knows that I went to Twitter.
You went to
this morning.
Facebook, like to the.
And it shows you what I did on Facebook. I went to. I visited AR World, Apple AR World, which is my homepage.
How does Google know that if you're on an iPhone?
Guess
and
what?
it's
They're
Facebook?
all watching everything you do.
Yeah.
Wait, how
Everywhere.
do they? Wait a second. How did they? Are you saying you visited Facebook's headquarters with an Android phone?
No, Facebook with a Apple phone.
But wait a second. You're on an iPhone. You're not on an Android phone. How did they get that insight? That's insane.
Web browser. I use Google Chrome on my browser.
Google Chrome. Oh,
Google
wow.
Chrome is recording.
Wow, this is
everything.
kind of scary.
And-
Ian, what do you think of
and it
my
keeps
proposal?
going.
Let's fly the
I like
proposal
it. I
up
mean,
the
I'm an
flagpole. See if
Android
you
user,
salute.
and one of the things I hate about this is I have location on. Every time I go into a bar or into a restaurant, it'll just like, oh, you're in this bar or restaurant. Would you like to write a review? And it's like, no, I'm here to eat, thank you. I'm not here to pad your review statistics for you.
Here's the thing that's truly terrifying, I think. Knowing what I know, having worked in IT in the 90s, late 80s, early 90s, when I was there at Sony, I remember like it was yesterday, we had installed Lotus Notes in the company. The top server guy in the company had, and we found out in the IT group about this, it was a very controversial thing because we had to decide if we wanted to rat him out because he was our compatriot. He had, back then they stored emails in like non-encrypted files.
Yeah.
So he went to the file system, Robert, and he looked at his bosses and his bosses' bosses and HR person's computers when he was negotiating and what they said the upper limits of their thing was. And he based his request at 10,000 more than what their upper limit was. They came back with the upper limit. He accepted it because he knew he couldn't negotiate any further.
Yeah.
And he told us. And we're sitting there like, with this crazy moment of, do we do this ourselves? Or, oh my God, I said to myself, this is the most unethical thing I've ever heard of. Like, you're going to go to jail.
No, I mean, the three people that you've always got to get on your side when you join a new company are the security guards, the receptionists, and the IT people. We used to go out and get drunk with the IT people, and they'd come out, hey, you've
They
got
would
to,
tell you what's going on.
you've got to see this. The accounting director is into some really weird porn, you know, and it's
Of course,
just,
they're tracking
they know
everything.
all this stuff.
The HR, I remember at a company I worked at, the HR group, I was out with them one night, and they were talking about what meds somebody was on.
Yeah.
And then I was like, oh my God, this person's on antidepressants, and you're telling other people in the company? If your data can be compromised, it's been compromised. Isn't that what we have learned?
Yes, unfortunately, there is no such thing as. I mean, you remember Scott McNeely's famous quote about privacy,
Yeah, it's
and then
an illusion.
Yeah, well, then when the NSA revelations came out from Snowden, he tweeted, "I had no idea how right I was." But it's getting worse and worse, and it's only going to get worse and worse because we're all generating so much data, and this
Let's
is what.
stay away from the Trump third rail.
No. I was thinking this actually relates back to the iPhone, the original iPhone, because one of the things you saw which convinced me that it was going to be such a massive success was the amount of data generated by iPhone users rocketed by thousands of percentage points in the space of a couple of months. So much so that AT&T couldn't keep up with the demand. And that's, that's what drove the smartphone revolution, was the amount of data people were using, and the amount that they were projecting.
And the next revolution that I'm seeing coming along is the AI revolution, which is taking that data
And actually using it for
petabytes of it
something.
and seeing pattern in it that humans can't see. When you saw the picture that I just showed you, the original picture, you and I can look at that all day long and we can't see how many lanes of traffic are in that data.
Right.
But an AI can go through billions of points of data and find a pattern that we can't
maybe
find.
make us a suggestion. For example, maybe we should split highways in half and you should be forced with cones, or a barricade between the left two and the right two. If you're going more than 3 exits, you should have to be in the left-hand lane. Or you can only be in the left 2 lanes if you're going 5 exits ahead. In other words, you have 20 miles to go. If you're under 5 exits, you have to be in the right-hand lanes. It's so that and then you get a ticket for not doing that. And by the way, the ticket is given to you. Maybe you get 2 or 3 warnings.
You're not going to have tickets in the future.
That's true, because you're not going to be even driving the car. I want to thank my friends over at Mighty Networks. Gina built me a network for This Week in Startups that you can go play with. Type This Week in Startups into your app store and download it, and you'll find 2,000 entrepreneurs talking about startups. It's a really amazing network, and we could even charge people to be members of the network. It's free right now, but we may do that in the future and then hire somebody to be the community manager for it. And it really helps you organize your group, see statistics, and do polls. It's kind of like your own little social network just for yourself, and it really has helped us because we have 150,000 people who download every episode. Now we have the 1% of those people, just over 1%, hanging out every day talking about startups. So it's transforming our business in just the first 2 months of using it. And you can go create your own Mighty Network right now. MightyNetworks.com/twist, MightyNetworks.com/twist. Click on Create a Network, and you can start your business plan for free for 14 days. It is an incredibly powerful tool, and Gina is just a brilliant founder who's been working on this for a while. If you tweet a link to me with your network at Jason and at Mighty Networks, we will. The best one is going to receive a T-shirt from Mighty Networks, and I might even retweet it for you. So go ahead and tweet me your network at Jason at Mighty Networks with the hashtag Mighty Twist to win that free T-shirt and a retweet from me. And go ahead and check out community.thisweekinstartups.com, and you can join the Mighty Network of super fans of the show talking about startups. All right, here's an interesting story. Amazon has bought Whole Foods.
We're going to hack Jason and I are going to get the hack, break the law.
I mean, I'll tell you what's going to happen. We're going to all be the three of us are going to wind up in the same retirement community somewhere in Half Moon Bay or Pescadero, wherever, Santa Cruz. Our kids are going to put us in some place in Santa Cruz. The three of us are going to be smoking a bowl of whatever.
I've been in nursing homes. They don't do that.
I get a feeling the nursing home they put us in is going to be like, they're going to be giving us cannabis like breakfast cereal. Anyway, we're going to have our cannabis breakfast cereal because we're going to be living to 120 with huge amounts of pain. And we're going to decide one day, this will be a great little sitcom. The three of us are there. We're 120 years old. Our bodies are breaking down. We're cannabised out on painkillers. And then we decide that we want to drive again. And we know there's a car like in a barn somewhere. And we break in and we go for a drive. And that's like all hell breaks loose in California, and there's 20 helicopters because these 120-year-old guys in the year 2060 decide they want to drive a car, and they had banned all cars.
Yeah.
They banned all cars. If you have a steering wheel on a car, it had to be destroyed in 2050. But Robert had the prescience to take his like Jeep and put it in and hide it as contraband.
Wait. What's more likely to happen first? America gets rid of guns, or America gets rid of cars with steering wheels?
Obviously, steering wheels. Steering wheels are done. That's a no-brainer. I would actually say there'll be less steering wheels in America
I don't agree with you.
in 2050 than guns.
Probably true.
Less steering wheels in America than guns.
No,
there might be less steering wheels now than guns, actually.
I was going to say, you've got 250 million guns in America.
Oh, yeah, so we only have
moment,
150 million cars, probably.
Yeah. So,
yeah,
then again, if you build in trucks and buses and the rest of it, it's probably about equal.
I don't know. My next door neighbor has a 1923 Franklin, which is fun to drive around.
Does he have a 50 caliber on the top of it?
No, it's not Texas.
I mean, as a Brit driving on the freeway, I would welcome that because every time some idiot swerves across two lanes to get out to the exit.
This is the great thing about dash cam videos. Did you guys see the video of there's a video, I retweeted it.
Oh, the cyclist kicking.
The cyclist kicks the door.
Yeah.
The guy then tries to run him off the road.
Yeah.
The guy trying to run the cyclist off the road who just kicked his door. So like horrible idea to kick a car as a motorcyclist. Horrible idea to try to pin the motorcyclist against the barricade at 70 miles an hour. That guy's car then spins out, hits an innocent Bronco, which then proceeds to flip.
Yeah.
He spins out.
He first hits the wall, bounces off in a bunch of
and from what I understand, it's captured on 3 dash cams.
And I love that all three of us.
Dash cams of this.
I love that all three of us have seen this video, even though algorithms are controlling what we see.
I know.
Well, I think the reason is
the motorcyclist just trundles on down the street.
And the cyclist is like,
I'm out. That comes out of this.
Yeah, that cyclist is going to jail for 10 years. I mean, he started the whole thing. This is what the one great thing about the surveillance state. Oh, here it is. We're watching the video right now. I mean, it's literally the craziest video. This poor guy in this Escalade gets hit from the side, flips over. He takes the worst of it. And this moron I mean, I have to say, this guy who's on the motorcycle, that's the guy I want taking me to the Charles de Gaulle airport next time I take a motorcycle to the airport in France, because this guy not only gets hit by the car and doesn't flip over. Watch this. He gets hit. He hits the brakes. The car's swerving in front of him. He avoids the front fender and bumper. I mean, it's incredible.
Yeah. The only thing is that we never saw the 30 seconds preceding that.
No, I know what happened. The guy who was on the motorcycle must have got cut off and then decided I have to kick the door. But then there was another video of the Bay Bridge. They caught some guy who was kicking multiple doors every day. Just as like angry motorcycle guy splitting traffic decided that if you're too close to the line, you get kicked. They caught him like on 3 videos and they arrested him. This is the good news about the surveillance state is I want, if mayorjason.com becomes more than a website, I'm literally putting a camera on every street in the Tenderloin. I'm putting 10 cameras in every street in the Tenderloin, and we're just going to use AI.
As long as you make sure the police wear them too, then...
And, the police are going to have 3 cameras. Yeah. Forget it. I'm going to have 360 cameras on the front and back of the police. But we have to get these people on tape, police and everybody. And then again, I mean, tragically, this guy, did you see the video of the guy? Obviously, you've seen the video of the guy getting shot in the car.
Not the moron with a book.
No, that's the YouTube issue.
Right. Yeah.
Well, no, but the cop just got off in, I think it was Chicago, for shooting a person who said, I have a gun. He's like, just so you know, I have a gun in the car. The guy's like, okay, don't reach for it. It's like, okay, I won't reach for it. The guy's like, oh, you're reaching for it. Let me shoot you 15 times.
And then says, oh, well, I smelled marijuana in the car. There was a 4-year-old in the back. Therefore, anybody who smokes marijuana around a child is obviously a dangerous desperado. Utterly bonkers.
All right, let's get back to tech here, because there's a big detour on the video cameras. Amazon bought Whole Foods. Blue Apron went public, but it was the bottom of the range. What do you think this Amazon mega purchase, because this is, I think, a big purchase for them, $13 billion, I believe, Jackie can check, but this is the biggest by far. I think they paid $1 billion for Twitch, and I don't know if there's anything between $1 billion and $13 billion, but we do know that the stock went up more than $13 billion when they bought Whole Foods.
Yes.
Iain, what does this mean in terms of the tech space and M&A, and then also in terms of consumers and delivery?
Well, okay. In terms of the tech space, obviously it's a blow to companies like Blue Apron and all the other startups that are delivering food or delivering meals and the rest of it. I think actually it's going to come back and bite Amazon on the backside, because from an antitrust perspective, this is just more and more evidence building up. And they know that the authorities are gunning for them, so it's just that could well turn around and bite them as well. But if you're a startup in the delivery business, just the sound of heads hitting tables when that was announced, because it's just like they're gonna, what Amazon's like. You've seen how AWS operates; they price everyone else out of the market.
Right. Yeah. It does, Robert, though, make me think that although it will kill the small entries, it makes Instacart counterintuitively a valuable asset for people who are desperate to fend off Amazon. So maybe Target or Kroger's or Walmart says, you know what? We need to build a block to at least keep, because right now I'm not sure exactly what the amount
or provide an alternative, because it's clear Amazon owns my kitchen, right?
They do?
Pretty much, they know what we buy, right?
And are you a Fresh subscriber, or
if I can, I can't use it in Half Moon Bay. My boss has spent $10,000 on Amazon already, and he has a list of everything he's purchased in his email, so Amazon knows everything he's purchased,
and Gmail does too.
And we're starting. And Amazon just yesterday came out with the Echo Show, right, which lets you call in and see a video camera on the show, and lets you. Do all the usual stuff with Alexa. We shouldn't say Alexa on air, because everybody's Alexa will go off.
Alexa.
Hey, Alexa, buy some toilet paper.
Alexa, order the book Angel by Jason Calacanis.
There we go. And while you're there,
the bestseller list.
Buy The Fourth Transformation, too.
Hilarious.
But Amazon is taking over pieces of our life, which have to do with what we buy, right? All my clothes, Scotty Vest says his sales everywhere else are going down. His sales on Amazon are going up, right?
Yeah.
So it's
clear.
Have you
ever had this experience? A product you want to buy is not available on Amazon, so you just pick a similar product to it that is available on Amazon, because you don't want to open a new account at another site. Has that happened to you?
Yeah.
It's happened to me.
Yeah, to be honest, I buy very little from Amazon in the first place, because I try and buy local. But
really? You're that guy?
Yeah, I'm that guy that goes to the local grocery shop every day.
All right. And actually, interestingly enough, Google says it's going to stop scanning Gmail for ad purposes and data tracking. So that's actually, I guess that means they know so much they don't need it.
They don't need it anymore because they've got Android, they've got Chrome, they've got YouTube. The amount of data sources they can pull in, they're probably deluged with the stuff and don't know what to do with it.
And at the same time, they just got a $2.7 billion fine, which, by the way, is less than their profit for a quarter. I'll have Emmy Award-winning producer Jackie pull up their exact.
It could have been a lot higher under the EU rules.
It could have been. So what happened here, Iain? Why did they get this fine? What is the
this stems back to about 7 years ago and the Google Shopping results. And what the EU found after going through the data again and again and again was that Google was consistently promoting its own search results over that of smaller competitors. It was abusing its market position. Then they could have fined. I think the limit for the EU for this kind of fine is 10% of turnover. So it
turnover being your yearly income.
Yeah. So it could have been a $9 billion fine. As it was, they got away reasonably easily. But I mean, the EU is very strong on enforcing fair competition in a way that very few other places in the world seem to be. So this was, yeah, you're right. In terms of, at the Reg, whenever we have a fine, we work out what it will cost them in terms of profits. And this was a sizable enough to get people's attention fine, but it wasn't be all and end.
Are they also sanctioned that they have to start taking things out of the one box or that kind of stuff?
They've got to start changing they've got to change their UI. They're going to be watched for the next, I think it's 5 to 10 years.
Yeah. They knew this was coming.
Yeah. They will have banked up money. You know, it's not a massive world-changing shock for them, but it is a useful kick, and companies do occasionally need these kicks just to play by the rules a little bit better.
So their Q1, I think it's Q1, was $5 billion in profits. So from April 2017. So it's half a quarter's profits, 1/8 of the year.
Yeah,
it's not insignificant.
No,
but small price to pay.
It's not crippling.
For not having Bing, Yahoo, or DuckDuckGo, or anybody else compete with them.
But I mean, this is the thing in that it's smaller, it's large enough to change the behavior. That's the thing. And what you need with fines like this is, ideally, you want a fine which takes away all the profits you made illegally and introduces a fine. But virtually nobody does that. So you just need something which is going to be a kick to management for them to actually get their act together.
Yeah, but no impact on the U.S. market.
No.
The U.S. market is just go, I think.
Oh, U.S. regulators will sleep at the switch. They always have been.
Yeah, well, I mean, they did ding Microsoft when you were there. But it seems to correlate with...
Than I was there.
It was slightly earlier.
It was 2000. I worked there at 2003.
Yeah, but it started in the mid-90s with the Internet Explorer coming out and being bundled and some aggressive tactics.
That's a nice way of putting it, yeah.
Well, they were threatening that you would have to pay a higher price for a non-bundled software. So that bundling issue is, I believe, if my memory serves correctly, the issue. Now you have Trump in office. He's saying weird stuff about Amazon.
Yes.
That made no logical sense. We'll pull up the tweet and maybe I'll...
Is there anything he says that makes logical sense?
I almost don't even... At this point, I kind of feel like it's a waste of our time to try to understand a Trump tweet because they're becoming more and more incoherent.
Yes.
And he said something about Amazon Washington Post was the hashtag. Amazon does not own the Washington Post. Jeff Bezos does. But okay, you're kind of bundling that together. Okay, fine. Maybe you're making some kind of point. But then he says he bought the Washington Post to have influence over the tax issue. Now, the tax issue was already resolved years ago and has been implemented. And they don't collect tax, I believe, in 4 states, New Hampshire, Delaware, Montana, and there's one, maybe Oregon. I believe, somebody will fact check me.
They don't have state sales tax in those.
And that's because they don't have state sales tax. Thank you, Robert. So literally, this idea that Amazon is in some way not paying their taxes is false. Any Google search by a 10-year-old would prove it to be false.
Yeah. You're assuming he knows how to use Google.
He knows how to use Twitter. He must know Google, right?
Well, I think, but
I mean, what does this tell us about?
They haven't taken his phone away from him yet.
Listen, I said on CNBC that he was a moron.
Yeah.
I said on CNBC, this is like the president's a moron. And they got really up in my grill about it. I mean,
I watched that clip. It was awesome.
Yeah, well, I mean, listen, I don't want to make everything political, but I'm a rational guy. And on a rational basis, if Trump did something like, I don't know, cut the defense budget by 10% and put it towards retraining people, infrastructure, and education, I would be the first person to high-five him and say, I may not agree with him when he's attacking people, or I may not agree with anything about him, but this is a good idea. I would tell you if I thought it was a good idea, candidly. I have not seen a good idea yet.
Me neither.
I don't know, the H-1B reforms.
Without being able to understand his position easily, what is it that you like about the H-1B reform?
My understanding is that they're changing the visa applicants, but to prioritize the highest paying visa entrants first.
Got it.
And what I disliked about the H-1B visa system as it was, is that 80% of the current visas are being issued to people with either a very low or a quite low level of IT skill. And if you're going to do the H-1B,
makes no sense, because it's supposed to be for specialized. So
it's
totally illogical.
Instead, it was being brought in to replace entire IT departments with cheap workers who wouldn't complain when you worked them like dogs. So, because if the employer says, well, we're no longer employing you, you've got 14 days to pack up and get out of the country.
You're indentured servants.
A friend of mine, Keith Barrett, got fired at Disney and had to train a H-1B visa person to replace his job. It is disgusting because that goes against the spirit of the law and really the letter of the law.
It's clearly abuse. So in that case, and it's interesting, when Trump was running for office, he said there's HB1, and they asked me on CNBC, hey, what about this HB1? And I said, you know what? He's right.
Yeah.
And I will tell you he's right, because every time I've been in a board meeting or been talking to a founder, and I've been in many, and I've had this conversation 50 times, minimum 50 times in the last 10 years, it always revolves around the same discussion. Okay, it's going to cost us $5,000 to $10,000 to do this H-1B. How much money will we save on the salary? And how long will this person stay versus the person who's in America?
Yeah.
So I can tell you, I've been upfront and personal and seen this, and I've said to people, why are we doing this? It's a bunch of legal work to save 20 grand. So we're going to spend 5 or 10 grand. So the net savings is going to be 10 or 15,000. So on a logical basis, it doesn't make any sense. And if you can find somebody and it only costs you 15 or 20 grand more, like, why are we doing all this? It makes no sense. So I think you're right. There's a case where he was right. And actually, you know what? The more controversial one where he's right is that we should be doing additional vetting of people from certain regions that are known to have terrorism. It's just he didn't pick the countries that are known sponsors of terrorism.
I was going to say.
We do that already.
Yeah.
We do that already. I mean, and so.
But he made it a Muslim ban as opposed to a Saudi Arabia was 15. Any logical person would say, if a person who fits the profile of a terrorist from Saudi Arabia, i.e. went to school in Germany, went to a flight school, I mean, there are patterns we would look for.
Yeah. Well, I mean, was it 15 out of the 19, 9/11 people were Saudis?
Yeah, but
it's a certain,
yes, the Wahhabis
kind of religion and a certain kind of belief system that leads to terrorism. It's not all Muslims. My wife is Muslim, right?
And I'm sure she would freely say, like, yes, these are the hot spots for Al-Qaeda. You should spend twice as much time vetting the people from there. Yeah. But the way he deploys these ideas is in such a divisive way that it winds up in a Muslim person, or I'm not sorry, maybe not even a Muslim person, an Indian person was shot in some bar in the South because they're like, you're an ISIS member. And the person's like, I'm Indian.
Yeah.
But ISIS does not operate, and I don't believe ISIS is like India is a stronghold. I mean, I know Pakistan got its own issues with tribalism, but I don't think India is one of them.
Well, no, same thing with a Sikh guy who runs a shop near where I live. I mean, he was just...
He's a Sikh.
He's a Sikh.
And it has nothing to do with ISIS.
Sikhs have been killing Muslims since before America, I mean,
right.
It's just like... But he gets constant abuse because people see the headgear and they think, oh, it must be a Muslim.
And this is the problem with, I believe, and we're going to end the
And by the way, I have a hard stop at 1. It's already 1 o'clock. So.
Okay, good. I'm going to go quickly. We'll do lightning round. Okay, lightning round. Okay, binary capital, Justin Callback, the whole thing. He's had 6 women come forward, 3 on the record, 3 not.
And one of the most mealy-mouthed apology statements.
Well, the apology was like 3 apologies, and the first was, I'm not guilty, the second was, I'm sorry.
Yes. And then
Chris Sacca wrote, I could have done more in my career, which I thought was kind of a nice thing last night. He said, listen, I was part of maybe drinking and having fun and making, jokes, 10 years ago. How systematic is the problem, do you think? Do you think there's 20 Justin callbacks out there? Do you think there's... Do you think this is going to be like an ongoing, like 2-year process?
The feedback, I mean, a friend of mine co-wrote a book called Women in Tech, and the feedback I'm getting from her and her friends is this is endemic in the industry. And
not just in our industry.
No.
Well, I mean, it's Hollywood has had
Hollywood, yes, exactly,
and Goldman Sachs and whatever Wall Street firms.
But we'd always kind of hoped the tech industry would be better about it.
You would, wouldn't you? Yeah.
But apparently not.
So maybe we're just coming to the conclusion that
there's a whole bunch of things that need to be fixed about our society, and at least this issue is being discussed finally, and there's action being taken to try to clean up the worst cases of it. Right?
Yeah.
But every woman I know has stories.
I think also like there's a group of people who don't understand the nuance of relationships in business.
Yeah. The need for professionalism.
Yeah, and the impact it has. If you're an employer and you're dating somebody who you are, and I hate to even discuss this because it seems so obvious, but if you decide their compensation or their career path, you cannot date them or even ask them on a date. If you're in a working relationship, if you're a professor with a student, if you're...
And Reid Hoffman laid it out very well in a letter to the industry.
The decency pledge.
Yes.
And everybody's retweeting it. But it seems to me that this is the most basic concept that you could ever... It's one thing, I remember when I came into the industry 20 years ago, and you might remember this as well, Robert, a lot of the tech journalists were male, and many of the PR people were female. And there was a lot of dating and fraternizing. You probably remember this 20 years ago.
A lot of marriages come out of it.
And a lot of marriages.
Steve Ballmer's wife was a PR person.
Right. And Bill Gates wound up marrying somebody. I think he met Melinda at
Microsoft.
At Microsoft.
She was working on Microsoft Bob.
But I don't know if that was before. So, the world has changed.
Bill Gates was dating his PR before his wife.
Really?
Yeah. Yes. I mean, there are some...
So we have this like crazy history here of... People went to work to find a spouse or to date, like in a lot of cases, right? That's what happened. That has radically changed in the last 10 years.
I didn't go to work to find my wife.
You just happened to find your wife at work?
Yeah.
So this is an ongoing trend where everybody will have this. But this is completely different.
But she wasn't working for me, and we were...
Right. And so this is where people, I think...
This is abusing the power dynamic.
Yes.
Right. And this is where it's particularly loathsome and horrible because... We, here at Launch, we work with a lot of female founders. We run a lot of events. Why on earth would anybody who's a venture capitalist or running a company ever want to date somebody who is in this relationship with them where they have power over them? It's just a disgusting, horrible concept.
No, I agree totally. And it's just, I really felt when these things first came out, you think, imagine you're a female entrepreneur. You slogged your heart and guts out for the last 18 months. You built a great product. You're desperate to get funding. And this guy says, well, if you come out to my hotel room, we can sort you out. And it's having to put someone in that choice is just, it's a loathsome and scabby way to do business.
Yeah. It's pretty gross. I think, I'm having a lot of talks with people who, I'm investing in about just, if you're in a leadership position, you cannot even get anywhere near any of this. Like literally, dating at work just should not even be at the table.
But I think it goes deeper too.
Continue.
I have asked a lot of successful people, like Tony Hsieh, why he focuses on stuff like this. And it comes down to building a good company. And when I ask people who are successful, what's the biggest mistake you made with your company, or what did you wish you had done earlier or focused on? Every single one I hear focuses on values and culture.
Yeah.
They wish they had spent more time on that in the early days when they were building a product. They didn't think about it. Most entrepreneurs, they're just trying to survive till next month, right?
Yeah.
And they don't think about putting together a company and culture and thinking about diversity and thinking about values and putting a list of values on the wall.
I can tell you right now, this is top of mind for every startup, from one person to 1,000. It is, and I think it's a positive process that we're going through. It's going to be super painful, but I think on the other side, it's going to make for a more just industry. So I think it's...
And a better one, because, good ideas get slapped down because they're introduced by the wrong people or people without power. So level playing field and competition, let's do it.
All right. So that dovetails really quickly into what's happening at Uber. Obviously, Travis has resigned. I have not made a public comment. I mean, I don't think I've commented since Travis resigned. Obviously, I'm very pro-Travis. I'm friends with Travis, and I've supported him. I do not support any of the mistakes that were made, obviously. I become aware of them largely when the rest of the industry does. I'm not on the board of Uber. Yeah. I find out about these things literally when they're in the press. Obviously, I'm super disappointed in the things that happen. I don't know exactly how I feel about Travis being driven out of the company after his mother died and he agreed to take the leave of absence. But I don't have complete information, and it puts me in a very precarious position because while I'm friends with Travis and I would have liked to see him grieve his mother, have a chance to evolve, do the Travis 2.0 thing and come back and lead the company with a radically changed board structure. I think everybody agreed in Eric Holder's.
And the board is split, I hear. That meeting on that Sunday was really a lot of yelling and screaming.
I didn't hear that, yeah. But
I have some spies, and there was a lot of disagreement. Some part of the board agreed with you. Let's leave them in. Let's try to fix the problem. Others
said it's time to go.
And
there was some eventually. 10 day. There was maybe 10 days between that and the next Tuesday or Wednesday. Tuesday.
No, it was 4 days.
Well, no, Sunday was the board meeting,
and
it was
Tuesday or
Tuesdays.
Wednesday. No, it was that week.
3 days later? It was the same week? I thought it was the following week. Okay,
no, it happened really fast.
So that's 4 days.
The board, somehow somebody switched sides on the board and he was out.
And then here's the other conflicting thing for me. I'm friends with Bill Gurley. I'm friends with the first round people. In fact, I think they met Travis and Uber at the Open Angel Forum. They came to it and saw him present. I'm sure they knew him before that. And I'm very good friends with Chris Sanka. Yeah. Those are the people who signed the letter for Travis to go. So I'm very much stuck in the middle with no information. I don't have the information on what was in the Holder report. I'm in the dark, so it's very hard for me to have a well-formed opinion. What I will ask both of you is, do you think it's just pure speculation here? Do you think Travis is coming back?
No.
No.
I don't honestly see how he can at this point.
Okay, so then what's going to happen? Uber's revenue has been tremendous. The growth is still there. It's doing great. So I don't think there's a fundamental business problem. So then
Not yet.
Not yet, right? We could see in 3 quarters, 4 quarters, it could be different. What should happen now? Should the company be sold to Apple, Google, Amazon? I've heard rumors of that. Should Marissa, Susan Wojcicki, or Sheryl Sandberg take over, or somebody else? What do you guys think should happen? What do you think will happen? Take me through your thinking of Uber going into the next year.
The business is struggling to run rationally and is struggling to fix its cultural problems and fix its story problems and fix the other
PR's
things.
A disaster.
It's deeper than PR. Blaming it on PR.
Well, not blaming it on PR, but the fundamental problems and then I'll say it as goodwill.
In 2014, I said Travis should be fired because he lost control of the story of the company, and he didn't fix it since then. Yeah. It got worse. That led to his removal. Yeah. I love Travis too. I was there when Uber was invented, right in front of me in a Paris snowstorm. Yeah. Travis and Garrett were building it right in front of me. I love those guys, and I love the service. But he lost control of the story of the company, and that's the CEO's number one job, is to keep the story of your company going in a positive direction, right? And when you don't do that, when you're a football coach and you lose, most of your games, you're going to get fired. It's just what happens. It's business. And he lost the control of the story, and in 2014, that's why I said he should go. And I think that's what happened to him. It all caught up to him because it just got worse.
There's no goodwill left. Can they rebuild the goodwill?
I think so.
Yeah. Okay, so what do you think, Iain? If let's say Marissa, Susan Wojcicki, or Sheryl Sandberg, one of these 3 early candidates, or another highly qualified person.
Those, I would have said Sheryl Sandberg would be the best candidate.
Why?
Because she's got the balls to actually change things.
It's sort of funny that we use.
Yeah, sorry. I mean, odd way to put it. But
I think Kara Swisher used the same words. So here's the thing: I don't judge people by their use of certain words. I judge them by their intent. So if that word offended somebody, we'll just say the gumption.
Yes, the gumption is a good word.
We're all trying to use the right word.
The leadership skills.
I don't know what Marissa Mayer was doing, shooting her mouth off this week. I don't know whether she was trying to position herself for the CEO role or whatever.
Or truly, to fill people in, she said, I don't think Travis probably knew, because he grew so fast, of all these instances. That may or may not be true. He may not have known of some. He probably knew of others. So it's probably a split the difference, but yes.
But yeah, I mean, they've got
She got barbecued for that.
Oh, yeah. And quite rightly.
Barbecued.
You know, but.
Because he was caught yelling at a driver, right? Yeah. And doing all sorts of stuff. I mean, there was lots of examples of Travis doing things that were not good for the story of Uber. But
I think ultimately
to say he didn't know is ridiculous.
I mean, he probably knew about half. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, ultimately though, they've got a fundamental problem in they've got to stop running rides that are funded by VCs, and they've got to be able to generate.
That's happening.
It's happening, but it's happening way too slowly.
No, actually, based on what I know, they went from $1 billion in losses in Q4, $700 million in Q1. Mm-hmm. I think the whisper number for Q2, if I had to guess, I don't know, maybe 500, 400, $7 billion in the bank. And they've got a
war chest then.
Yeah, so I think maybe in $750 million to $1.25 billion, somewhere in that range, they're profitable, which would be a classic IPO story. You know, right before the IPO files, they're within 200 million. The IPO happens, and they're profitable.
And
it's kind of like a classic story.
I mean, Lyft is capitalizing on this left, right, and center there.
Except I just took a drive with an Uber driver who drives for Uber and Lyft, and he says even in San Francisco, which is Lyft's headquarters and Uber's, even in San Francisco, she gets more rides on Uber and faster rides on Uber, and she's making more money on Uber as a driver in San Francisco. And until that story changes, and it hasn't changed as of right now.
I read the New York Times said 15 to 25% in the United States. So they have moved some meaningful market share. Now, how much of that is due to the problems? How much of it is due to their execution or just the natural state of things? We don't know. But let's call it 5 points because of their tragic, the tragic stuff, or 5 minutes because of execution on Lyft. Either way, Uber should be more vigilant in solving this.
And here's the problem. Uber is in management disarray. The rest of the team is working great, but management disarray means they won't see market conditions changing fast enough and won't be able to react fast enough.
Right.
So when Apple's AR phone comes along, Lyft could come out with an AR app with Apple, which would take even more market share and get us all to talk about it. And Uber, if they're in management disarray and aren't investing in new things like this, they're going to lose. And that's how the company starts to come apart.
It is, to put a wrapper on it, because I know people really want my opinion on it, and I'm always very delicate about this because obviously I'm a major shareholder. I'm not a major shareholder. It's a major holding for me. Of all of my angel investing, it's 70, 80%. So it's significant for me. I'm not worried about it, but I do think that a change in leadership could have a potentially good impact in that it gives a chance to reset the culture and resolve some of these issues. I do think, additionally, that Travis is Uber, and that Travis's behavior overall and Travis's energy and enthusiasm is what made the company.
Yeah.
So for him to leave, to me, it is very analogous to Steve Jobs getting booted from Apple. And then Apple went sideways, and then he came back, and Apple hit new heights. I hope that Travis, grieves his mom, comes back really strong. I know he's evolving because we trade texts once in a while, and we talk once in a while. I know that he's working on this, and I know he takes it very seriously, and sincerely he does. And I think he's going to come back, and I think he's going to come back, and he's going to come back as one of the 10 greatest entrepreneurs of our generation. It's sincerely my belief. I do not underestimate him because what it took to build that business, and we saw it up front, he is getting zero credit for now because of the mistakes. And that's fine. The same thing happened to Zuckerberg. The same thing happened to Steve Jobs. They got derided and ran out of town, and people, lawsuits and everything else. But man, the amount of effort it took to change the world and to hit 700 cities and to do what they're doing, it was a feat I have never seen in entrepreneurship. It is the revenue ramp and the world-changing startup of our time.
That is absolutely true. I've never seen a company build a global brand as fast as Uber has.
Never happened.
If you look at Apple, it took a lot longer, or Microsoft took longer. Any of the brands that we care about took longer than Uber to build a global brand.
And what it did in terms of providing transportation options for people like me who lived in Brooklyn and could never get a cab ride back to Brooklyn, let alone somebody who, let's say, was a minority in even New York, a very diverse city. If you were an African American in Manhattan and you tried to get home to Brooklyn, a cab would not pick you up.
Yeah.
It was well known. You couldn't get to Brooklyn, and you couldn't get to Brooklyn if you looked a certain way.
I remember standing in the rain in San Francisco, waiting for a taxi, calling up the taxi dispatcher, going, "Where the heck is my taxi?" Oh, they're on the way. And that's why I'm an Uber fan. Yeah. I've never had that kind of service from an Uber driver.
And they got the price down to a level where it is accessible to everybody.
Yeah.
A $4 or $5 or $6 ride. By the way, it's accessible to everybody. The minimum wage in these major cities, $10 to $15. If you need to get home for anywhere in the city for $5, that's a pretty compelling price.
That's why I'm still bullish on Uber, and I think that a new leader, if they solve some of this chaos that's happening right now, is going to have a good time.
Yeah.
If it gets taken care of pretty quickly.
They have to do it now.
Festers for years, it's going to cause them a real problem because they're going to miss opportunities to jump in when the market conditions start changing. And it's about to start changing. Over the next 3 years, we're going to see a lot of change in the tech industry.
Sure.
Because 5 years from now, we're all wearing glasses.
Sure.
All of these people are right. The big companies are spending billions of dollars on glasses because you get as many monitors around you as you want for a cheap pair of glasses.
But they've got to be waterproof for your case.
Yes.
I think so for everybody.
Yeah.
You want to take these glasses out in the rain?
Of course, he's referring to Robert in the shower. In looking at the situation, I was talking to somebody about Sheryl Sandberg, which I think is, most people seem to think is a long shot. Kara Swisher said it's a long shot. Now, I don't know that it's exactly a long shot. I have no, and to be clear, I have no inside information, but Susan Wojcicki is an incredible candidate, and she would probably very much want the job. She's hungry. She being the CEO of YouTube is kind of like being the GM. It's not an independent company. She still has to go to Larry and to Alphabet and report in. So this would be a chance to really be the person, the number one, truly the number one, which in reality she's the number 3, even though the title is CEO. Anybody at Nest, the CEO of Nest, is the number 3 person. It's not number 1. It's because of the structure.
Do you think it's got to be a woman that takes over?
No. But I do think that it's very important that the board be diverse, and it's getting more diverse, and that the leadership be more diverse. And fresh leadership sounds like a great idea, and everybody agrees on that. Now, here's the interesting thing.
Yeah. They're not calling me for the job.
No.
Me neither. Here's the thing. There's only one time in history a rocket that's about to go public has ever handed over the reins to another person that's not the founder. Can you tell me the name of that company? Right before the IPO, they brought in a professional who had done it before to take over. Happened one time with one of the 5 biggest companies.
Schmidt and Google.
Correct.
Yeah.
This is the second time, and perhaps the only other time this will ever happen, because we have a very founder-focused culture. So whoever gets to take the reins of Uber has a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to take a company that has whatever tens of billions in revenue, public, and build a $100 billion plus enterprise. It's never happened except for Eric Schmidt. And look what that did for Eric Schmidt's career. People didn't know who Eric Schmidt was.
Yeah.
He was at Sun, right? I mean, nobody knew who Novell. Nobody knew who Eric Schmidt was. And then Eric Schmidt became worth $10 billion, I think.
Yeah.
So for Sheryl Sandberg to be the COO, and then suddenly become the CEO, and to be able to take a company public, it's an Eric Schmidt moment, I think, for her. So I would not doubt that could happen. Now, for Marissa, people can say she didn't do a good job at Yahoo.
Well, she managed to convince Verizon to spend $4.5 billion on that.
Okay, so now when we look at, I think she didn't do the best job at cutting the staff, and she didn't do the best job at focusing on maybe 1 or 2 business lines. However, she did an incredible job at maximizing shareholder value in terms of selling the assets. So there is something to be said for her stewardship of the shareholders there. Not perfect on product, but I don't think she has to be the product person there. I think Travis could come back in 3 months, be the product director and board member, executive chair, like Reid Hoffman is. Executive chair comes to work 2 days a week, 3 days a week, maybe work on the product, and having Marissa as a collaborator, maybe that's a good combination.
But you see, she didn't change the Yahoo company culture, and that's what needs to be done with Uber.
She started to. Gave them the free phones, gave them the free lunch. People started to want to work there.
Their working rights.
Yeah. All right, listen. I wish them the best of luck. Obviously, I have a lot riding on it, but I'm
It's not
very
an easy choice. It's going to be real interesting to see how that culture repairs. It's starting to repair already. I know many people working there.
I know. The reports from inside is, and you also had thousands of people sign, "We want Travis back."
Yeah.
So I think that, although there's reasons to be very critical, there was also some very special things that occurred at that company, and I think that they can become the shining example of a recovery of these culture issues. And I think that's what we all want. Like, I think it's in everybody's best interest to see the company show that culture can change dramatically in favor of the just and the way things should be done. Even the biggest Uber critic would want to see the company become a leading example of a just work environment. That would be success. So if Freda Kapoor, who's been super critical as an investor, I know she, and I've spoken to her about it, wants to see them succeed. Even the biggest critics, and I don't think she's the biggest critic, but even the critics, even to the right of her, if I'm moderate or I'm supportive, all the way on the right, the people who are like, I hate that company and I hate Travis, they would want to see the company. They could still hate Travis, but they would want to see the company do well in solving these problems because it's good for society.
Yeah.
They show that you can turn it around. All right, listen. Everybody follow Robert Scoble. He's very active on Facebook. And what's the new book that you do?
The Fourth Transformation, which is all about augmented reality and artificial intelligence.
So The Fourth Transformation, written with Shel Israel again. You're a frequent collaborator, great author. Go buy the book right now. Please go buy the book and write a review if you love it. And if you don't love the book, go ahead and send an email to Iain at theregister.co.uk. Everybody follow Iain at The Register. If you see a great story by Iain, go ahead and tweet it for him. That's always good for the authors when you tweet it. Look at this. I'm going through all this paper. I'm trying to get everybody's Twitter handles here. Iain Thomson, which is Iain, spelled incorrectly. His parents spelled his name incorrectly. No, it's the Scottish spelling.
It isn't indeed. But my parents and I have had words about it. And next, if I ever have kids, they'll be called David or James or John or something like that.
Iain Thomson and Scobleizer, of course.
It makes it easier to find Twitter handles if you have an unusual name.
Calacanis, easy peasy. Yeah, there's
John, good luck with that one.
Yeah. And thank you to the 50 to 75 people who were absolutely super involved in the Facebook chat room. That's great. All right, we'll see you all next time. Bye-bye.